Ladies and gentlemen, in the room at the NRA's annual meetings here in Houston, it's another edition of the Shooting USA VideoCast. This time, my distinct pleasure to welcome these two lovely gunslingers from the Single Action Shooting Society. We've got Misty Eversole and Corina Novo. Ladies, welcome. Your aliases, please.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my alias is Misty Moonshine.
Yes.
And my alias is Ruby Ruthless.
Ruby Ruthless. Gotta love it. You guys are a part of a very big shooting community in the Single Action Shooting Society. Tell me about Cowboy Action Shooting.
We are. The Single Action Shooting Society is the governing body for Cowboy Action Shooting worldwide, and we are issuing in the 115,000 membership numbers.
Amazing.
As of 2026 marks our 40th year, 40 years of SAS.
Amazing.
So we're very blessed. We have such an amazing community in the shooting sports, and here we are. We're still going strong. Yeah.
Well, as the name says, single action, so, single action Colts or some derivative.
Right.
So you're going to be thumbing that wheel gun.
Yep. Yes.
And then from there, there's pump shotgun or period correct side-by-side coach gun.
Yep.
And then lever action rifle.
Right.
And it's essentially the original 3-gun.
That's exactly what I was just fixing to say. We like to joke that we're the original 3-gun.
But there's so much more to it.
There is.
Yes.
There's a whole community lifestyle aspect to it, and that's the piece that I think is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest motto that we have is you come for the shooting and you stay for the people.
Right.
I mean, no matter where you go in the world, while it's still a competition, everyone's in it for the love of the Western heritage, the firearms, the dress, the costuming, and most importantly, the people.
Yeah.
So.
That, I think, is the element that runs across the board in all shooting sports.
Absolutely.
Is the community aspect, the people. Obviously, Single Action Shooting Society, SAS competition is different than USPSA practical shooting, but there is still that parallel.
Absolutely.
You're going to meet people, you're going to generate relationships, friends, and so on. And that, I think, is where this also aligns with America's Rifle Challenge, the NRA's new shooting sport to get the new people involved. What is it about SAS that brings new people involved? How do you guys attract new shooters into that specialized shooting sport?
Well, I mean, there's kind of a multitude of venues, right? Obviously, we know that the majority of our demographic is an older demographic that grew up watching those old Westerns, right? That's kind of how it all started, was a group of gentlemen who wanted to go play cowboy. And obviously, that has shifted as years have gone on, right?
Sure.
People aren't maybe watching as many Westerns, but there's a video game called Red Dead Redemption. So for that younger generation, they're going in and playing an Old West character in this video game. And so we have, gone out and cornered the market in some areas of going and attending these events and saying, hey, how about you come play real cowboy, get out of your chairs, come out onto the range and join, but also attending wonderful shows like this throughout the year, and obviously just by word of mouth.
And the family aspect is big for us as well.
Yes.
I mean, with 40 years under our belt, we see grandpas and dads and then the grandkids all coming. And a lot of times shooters will get their start in cowboy action shooting with their parents or their grandparents and then leave for a season of life. But it's cyclic enough that then once they come back, that welcome, that SAS family
still
welcome,
there.
Still there and ready to welcome them back.
That's beautiful. I've been to a number of end of trails, and over the years, my father was a big participant, proponent, loved it, 10 ring himself. But I've also met a number of people on that leading edge of the competitive side, one of which is Randy Rogers, also known as Holy Terror.
Yeah.
She got into it because of her grandfather, Evil Roy.
Yep.
And I think that is the model that we're talking about right now. It is very much a generational family sport, and that piece is entertaining and exciting.
Yes.
The other thing at End of Trail, at least when it used to be in California, was tri-tip. There was always a guy grilling tri-tip. So we ate steak. Absolutely some of the fondest memories of working at a shooting sport for the weekend. So absolutely wonderful. Talk about how the younger generation is pushing that leading edge of the competitive side of the sport, because Randy, as a young woman, was one of the front runners, used to win everything. And there are a bunch of younger demographic that are coming along and shooting this sport really, really fast.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Randy, Holy Terror, still wins when she shows up.
Sure.
I mean, she's untouchable. She is an amazing shooter, and we're lucky to call her among our ranks. But the younger, they seem to come from everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's no real, I guess, metric to say what are you doing differently other than just a lot of dedication and practice. One trend that we're seeing more of in the last probably 5 years is a lot of younger shooters being the shooter.
Yes.
Mom and dad come, but just in a support role.
Yes.
Right.
Not shooting really with them, but just there to support the kids in it. And I think that's a testament to how we're evolving the sport to be more attractive to families and younger shooters independently.
Interesting. There's, in addition to that shooting sport and that community lifestyle around it, there is an even greater sort of industry within the sport that has arisen in the form of the merchantiles and those who are doing that very specific gunsmithing work and things like that. Was that intended initially, or did that just sort of happen organically?
I think it happened organically. You know, when Cowboy Action Shooting first started in 1981 in Southern California, the folks who originally started had no idea that it would ever become what it is today. And SAS wasn't formed until 5 years later in 1986 to kind of, once they realized that this was snowballing into something really, really popular. And the demand for it grew, you know, the demand for products needed, from leather holsters to the costuming, the clothing, the hats, the gunsmithing, the ammunition. And, you know, the sport has evolved in terms of gunsmithing needs and firearms as well.
Yeah.
The guns they shot in the 90s are not the guns we're shooting today. I mean, they're the same guns, but just the gunsmithing and the action work and the short strokes and all that, it makes it a much, I guess, easier to manipulate the firearms, you know, the single actions today than what they did. And we see that in stage times. I mean,
absolutely.
China Camp was one of the early SAS members who really just ground broke the sport of cowboy action shooting. And he was unbelievable. Hall of Fame member in Southern California. And China Camp was untouchable for his time, you know. And then Led Dispenser came along.
I was going to say then Spencer.
You know, Spencer came along. He was the China Camp of the 2000s and really just raised the bar up. And it just seems like every time you think, my gosh, they can't go any faster, here comes the next generation raising the bar again.
One of the things that I think plays well in SAS competition is the format. It's all steel, and it's, on paper at least, it's pretty easy. It's a lot of sequencing. It's a lot of, like, flip a card and shoot that shape and different things like that, which is entertaining, but at the same time, if you've really honed your skill, you can be fast at it, but then that's where disaster can strike, because you're going too fast, and a miss you can't recover from at that level. So that piece has always been interesting to me, because it also welcomes a new shooter.
Yes.
Is that by design?
Yeah. I don't know that it's by design. I mean, so we don't have qualifiers for any of our sanctioning championships. So state all the way to the world level. Any SAS member can come and compete.
I see.
So, I mean, we were in a posse this last month at our World Championships in Phoenix with several contenders for the overall title. So we have over 40 shooting categories. But we were on a posse with several contenders, and it was interesting to watch one in the midst of a really great stage, super fast, one slip at the hammer rung and a ring around the Ruger.
Yep, and now it's click, 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 bang.
And it cost him the overall.
Well, there you go.
Mean, that's something that's
right. When you're at that cutting edge and when you're racing for that level of perfection, you can't.
Tenths of a second.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
One of the things that I also love about SAS, you all have been involved with the NRA's World Championship of Shooting. One of the stages is always a SAS stage, and it's got a scenario, and typically it's a, you can't rustle my cows, and then you shoot and shoot and shoot and pick up the next gun and shoot and shoot and shoot. And that historically has always been the stage that more people use their mulligan on, because they want to shoot it again, because it's flat out fun.
It's fun. Yeah, it's absolutely
the
fun.
adrenaline rush of running those lever guns, those single action firearms as fast as you can is unparalleled. Well, I mean, the ear-to-ear grin that shoots across most people's faces the second they put that rifle down or that pistol down, they're like, I mean, you can just see it. It's just, it's pure fun.
Well, I've got mountains of footage over the years of the visual of brass just flying out of the top of the lever gun and landing on the brim of the hat and rolling around. It's just click, 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 and that just There's something about that that you don't see in any other shooting sport. It's special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I think that it is a fact that the shooting sports are a community, no matter what the discipline is, and they all have the same thing in that you will be welcome at whatever skill level, and that obviously includes Cowboy Action.
Yeah, absolutely. About 30%, just under 30% of our members are women and children under 18. So we see a lot of families shooting together.
Right.
We have shooting categories from 8 years old to 90 plus. We just added a shootist category in 2026 for the 90 plus by demand. The 90-year-olds were like, I ain't shooting with those 86-year-old whippersnappers.
Yeah, right. Those young kids. You got to do something for the 90-year-olds.
Yeah.
Wow.
And different shooting styles and categories, and we're going to meet you where you are.
Well,
if you want to come play Cowboy, we're going to find a place for you to play.
And that is a way to stay young. 90 years young.
Absolutely.
I've got a Cowboy Action match coming up. Got to be ready.
Yep.
That's amazing. Man, that really is a validation to the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good. Ladies, that's everything I've got. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.